This is Mario with MIA Microflight, and this is a project that I've been working on, something that has been on my mind lately. I have two grandkids. One is a little girl, and the other one is a little boy. And it's just a chance for me to do these things with them in mind, and sort of to once again interact with with kids. I did similar projects with my own kids when they were little. They grew up, and then I got involved with some other things, and so I have come back full circle. And this is almost the second and last chance that people in at my age, when they start having grandkids, have, because once you're done with this, you don't have a third chance in life. We only live, so long. So it's one of those things, and that's the reason why I'm doing this as well. Uh, some people understand this type of mindset. If you do understand that, share with me a positive comment below in this video, or not. I mean, I'm used to just posting videos at my website, not at my website, at my YouTube channel, and whatever views they get, they get. I mean, I'm not so much concerned with the views anymore as I used to when I first started my company, MIA Microflight. It's a very small company, but very persistent in doing all the stuff that I have done and I have shown, throughout my videos since 2000 and beyond. When the internet just got started. It's been a long time, but this is one of the projects, like I said, that I've been working on lately. So let me talk about a little bit about the way I approach this. I was at the store and I was thinking of my grandkids, Christmas coming up. I thinking of something that I could buy, just to enhance the our time with them. And so I was looking at these HO size trains. And when I was looking at the quality of the trains, I mean, you can go really inexpensive or you can go very expensive, with HO size trains or something similar. Um, I was looking at the how complex this would be to do in a 3D printed form, and started thinking a little more that this is not really that hard if you approach these projects from a very basic standpoint. And what I mean by that is that basically the track is the main determining factor here, because once you get the track, then everything just falls into place. But in order to do that, you have to um, have a good idea of proportions, sizes, and scale. And so I started looking online, to see who has done this in a similar way. And sure enough, there are people that have been doing this for years. So I'm not the only one, but I did get inspired by a lot of the videos on YouTube, in particular, in particularly the videos that come from overseas, from India, from Pakistan, from some of these areas where people don't have access to the materials that we have access here in the United States, or they don't have access to certain tools that many of us are so fortunate to have, but we take it for granted. So I was looking at those videos, and the way they approach a lot of these things is very simple. There's a lot of videos, coming from those places that I mentioned in the world, that simply take cardboard and they make the tracks out of cardboard with popsicle sticks, hot glue, and that's how they do the tracks. And it's amazing how some of these people are able to achieve a level of scale and realism in the way they build with such materials. Now, we hear in people like myself and maybe many others that are out there, do have access to tooling, do have access to 3D printing, do have access to CNC machines, do have access to computers, and we can do this a lot better than obviously the people that, or in the countries where they don't have access to that. Um, and so that was my one of the things that I was considering, and I did a little bit of a scale model here, just using cardboard, just to get an idea of proportions. Um, Inspired, like I said, by those videos. and but I wanted to do it my own way after seeing those and much better ones of people that have done 3D printed, full 3D printed tracks, cars, and locomotives. I mean, there are some very very nice videos out there of people who have done that, and those people have been nice, to share those files. Um, and but rather than to print those files and I mean, I could do that. I could have those files and just print them and then they'd be done with. That's not where I find joy. The joy that I get is from designing my own stuff uh, in my own way. And this is not to be an ego trip or to say that I'm better in any way, but I just enjoy the part of designing and the getting on the computer and designing from scratch and but I do get inspired a lot. But number one, the real thing, with the real full scale vehicles. But I also like to see what other people have done and how they approach these things. So this model right here, as I said, was an inspiration based on those cardboard train tracks and that people build, overseas. Uh, and I did it just to get an idea. Obviously, with the tools that I have, I can do much, much better than this. And from the stuff that I've had produced over the years, that many of you are aware of. And if you're not, you can go to my website and check out the stuff that I have done, or check out my videos here on YouTube. You can obviously see that I have the tooling and the capability of doing much better than that. But I wanted to keep this somewhere in terms of complexity. I wanted to keep it somewhere in the middle, so that it's easier to print, faster to print, and it doesn't require a lot of mechanical abilities. For somebody, if somebody was to replicate this. But I did it mainly to speed up the process because I'm not in an age where I have all the time as I used to have. When I started doing the micro helicopter stuff, I was very young, and I was you don't think about time in those years. You just don't have that luxury as when you start getting older, as you did when you're young. And so, taking that also into consideration, I decided to approach this project in that manner. And so, as you can see here, I started with, like I said, this model here, and I started doing it on the computer, drawing my own tracks. And since I have a lot of this basswood, I decided to re-implement that basswood alongside these 3D printed sleepers, and just make it quick that way, and sort of unique because I have not seen somebody do a track with 3D printed parts and basswood. This is something, like I said, of my own. And in the process of doing that, I also decided to do a full 3D printed track, which is what you're seeing right here. This is a full 3D printed track that is in the same scale as this particular one, but it's an integrated track with the sleepers, and it's got these interlocking tabs here. And the way I did this in eighths of the curve, so that I can print this on my machine. I can print two of these staggered on my Anycubic i3 Megas, which are very nice machines that I still have, and I still like those machines. And of course, I also printed some straights that you can see here, also in two sections here of 6 inches each. So from here to there is about 12 inches, or 12 inches exact. And so that has been my scale approach. If you look at the wheels, this is also very, very simplistic in the way I approach this. It's just two plates, front and back, the sides, two sides. Obviously, the four wheels, and the four wheels are also done that way. They are concave on the inside, but they do have the shape of the typical train wheel. The axles are skewer bamboo sticks, which I'm going to change those two carbon rods, 3mm carbon rods, or 1/8 brass tubes, or even just go with wire, piano wire, 1/8 piano wire, because it allows much smoother ride inside these side plates. This was just to quickly build this, and it's pretty much in line with the way people that build cardboard trains they do it. They use skewer sticks, and so that's one of the reasons I did that. Is just to quickly allow me to assemble this. But I am going to change those because I found out that when you put the wheels on the track, you get these little bumpy areas, and it's because of the skewer. The skewer is not perfectly circular on the outside. I mean, you could take that on the lathe and just trim some of that, but to avoid that, it's just better to use the proper, more precise axles that you can get using 3mm carbon rods, aluminum, not aluminum, but brass tubing, or even steel piano wire. And so that's going to be one of my changes as I progress into completing this train set. You can see that from here, I went to this one here. I did the wheels obviously because I was going to need the wheels, and I did this really quick. It's just out of cardboard and basswood, and so this can be used as this, but it is just a mock-up. It's more of a mock-up than anything else because I do want to do these as 3D printed. And so this is one, the next iteration in a 3D printed form. It's got the slot here for sliding doors. So this is one of those wheel carts that have the corrugated surface on the outside. It's just a rectangular thing, pretty much like that. It's got the corrugated vertical slats. And so I have done that for this one here, but I wanted to print the base just to get an idea of size. And this is, I believe this is an 8-inch by 2 and by 3. And that's my scale on these cars, and I want to do all of them based on those dimensions, as well as the locomotive, which I have done also in a cardboard mock-up just to get an idea. But eventually that's going to be 3D printed. And I'm trying to keep all these parts very lightweight yet rigid. And so that's the reason for these, you can see these circular, what you call these posts, to retain the screw. The screws are here attached with a nylock nut. It's just to allow it to retain itself without loosening it up, and it allows this to pivot nice and smooth. You can see that my base also on the center part here is about 1 inch in diameter, which is wide in order for that to sit a little more flat and more precise underneath the base of the cabin or the car. So this is basically where I'm at with this. Like I said, I'm still working on the. Right now I'm printing some vertical corners because these are all pieces that I'm going to keep it as panels, so I can build the panels flat on the 3D printer. Easier to print, lighter, and more precise in the surface as well. I'm doing the corners, which are also interlocking. Those corners are going to be interlocking with the panels, so you can essentially build this almost like an erector set, and I keep mentioning erector set in many of my videos, and that's how, including my website, because that's how I grew up. I grew up with erector sets. My parents were able to at least get me started with an erector set when I was very, very, very small. I must have been maybe 6, maybe 5 years old. I mean, I remember that far back, maybe even further. And I remember this erector set that my parents bought me. It was a fire engine, a red fire engine that the first thing I did is I took it apart and I started building, just getting really creative and building my own things. And so that's also where a lot of this creativity comes from. But as far as this train is concerned, this is probably going to be on an 8x4 plywood sheet, 8x4 feet, I mean. And the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to try to keep it as simple at the beginning. That's why I'm printing additional curves and straights with the 3D printed integral track. But this one here with the basswood, that's going to sit under my tree, and so I don't want to be making this. This. Although I have a fixture to do these spacings equally, as well as the curved one, which is over here. That's a curved one. It is quite a bit of labor and labor intensive, because you have to lay down the track. You got to put the fixture underneath and kind of work one by one, so that you end up with a track as precise as what you see here, both for the straight and the curve is a little more tricky, and that's the reason also for these little basswood sections of track here that I actually soaked in water, warm water, and then I attached these with clamps that you see there. I had these attached on this first track that I built. This one I did wet a little bit the track, and then I curved it manually. But I decided just to attach it there and clamp it, and so it makes it a lot easier when you have a curved basswood track. Like I said, this basswood with the 3D printed sleepers is going to be for my tree, my Christmas tree, and it's not going to be that big. But this 3D printed one, it is going to be another track on a 4x8 sheet of plywood, and which I'm pretty sure my grandkids will also appreciate, and I'm sure everybody will have a lot of fun time, just at least watching it, because it's almost therapeutic, when you sit and you just watch these little trains that just go by in circles. You can do loops, you can do two stacks. I mean, you can go nuts with this stuff. But I do want to keep it interesting. Like I said, easy to print, basically nice, and I mean it's got some scale to it. I mean, this is my own dreamt up creation of the sides. I don't think there's a card that has the same thing, but this is what I came up with just for simplicity's sakes. And so this will eventually grow, and I'm sure I will be showing some additional videos. So stay tuned for more.